Hello, everybody. It's me, GhostCritic. I'm here live. It's a busy evening. I've got guests coming over, so to make sure I had a comic book review video up for Friday, I had to do it live because otherwise I'd be editing and I would never have the time then to upload it and have people round at the same time because that's rude. So the easiest way to do it was a live Google Hangout. I did put in the description bar that if you are watching and you are commenting, I'm sorry, this is newish. I haven't done this for a long time and I can't see any of your comments. So if you do comment, I'll try and answer them and reply to them or after I've finished. It's just going to be a normal comic book review video, only I'm doing this live. So prepare for the fails. Right, let's kick off with the only Marvel book I am reading at the moment, and that's Iron Fist. The Living Weapon, issue 4, and this was a strange old comic this week. It goes on about the relationship between Brenda and Danny, and it goes just before we saw them in issue 1. Now, the weird thing about this is that in issue 1, we kind of saw Danny having this kind of identity crisis. He was incredibly depressive, was really felt like he was down on his luck, was just totally lethargic and didn't care about much else. And Brenda, as soon as all these kind of ninjas and they came falling down from the helicopter, started screaming like the stereotypical blonde bimbo ditzy girl. But in this issue that came just before that scene, we see them having quite a kind of tender moments while lying in bed. Danny suddenly becomes very sweet and funny, and Brenda seems to all of a sudden become not necessarily kick-ass, but you know, she can hold her own to the point where she has a go at tasering Danny in a kind of funny way that you do with your boyfriends, I guess. So the whole relationship there was at odds with what we'd already seen in issue 1, which didn't sit that well with me. The only other thing that really happens in this issue is that Danny has, we see him again having these visions. And this has got quite the horror element to it, especially when we've seen Daddy Dearest coming back. Again, I love the artwork of Carl Andrews on this. He's really made the kind of dad character, this villain, if it is, of course, his father, quite anime style, which is maybe why a lot of people don't particularly like this style of artwork, but it did remind me of a lot of the kind of anime kind of villains where they kind of have these raggedy cloaks all over them and they're all kind of got tubes and wires and metal hands and stuff. I still enjoyed it. It was still fun. Just the characterizations of a lot of the characters were at odds from what we'd originally seen. Iron Fist, number 4. From Vertigo, we've got Hinterkind, issue number 9, and we're discovering more about this vampire clan that we've had kind of little glimpses at in the last few issues. And they have that kind of age-old apocalyptic problem dilemma in that in an apocalyptic future, humankind have basically been decimated. There's only tiny small pockets of them now, and the vampires have clearly grown in population, so there's not enough blood to go around. So they're trying to find, you know, blood resources, blood banks, which just so happen to be moving because our heroes are all still alive. So we get their kind of plan, and we touch on all of our kind of groups that have, at the moment, split up or think the others are dead or they want to go out and find them. But everywhere they are, it doesn't matter, this vampire clan is there. It is touching on their lives in some way or other. I like this, but I don't know where it's going. It doesn't appear to have much in the way of, in my mind anyway, of any kind of longevity. That we have this vampire story. We've got a common enemy for what we thought were the two original groups, the Hinterkind and the humans, and we thought that was going to be the story, them being against each other. But now, you know, Ian Edgington has thrown in this third element that is at odds with both the Hinterkind and humankind. So I just don't really know how that's going to push forward once we get to the end of this particular storyline, and how this will then unfold afterwards. Let's not get into the art again. It's still terrible. We really need a new person drawing this to make it above average. On to Dynamite Entertainment, The Twilight Zone, issue 6. And I was a little disappointed with this issue, because what we basically have is just a kind of elongated history lesson regarding the coin, from when it was made, where it's come from, that Diana, our main character here, now has, and presumably gives her these powers that allows her to have this kind of foresight, these visions of what is going to happen in the future. Apart from that, it's just really Diana and her moral dilemma in deciding what to do about this huge vision she's had, where a bomb is going to explode in the, I presume it's New York City, somewhere like that. And we find out where this bomb has come from, how it's going to be deployed. And basically, again, Diana's kind of moral dilemma: should she just leave town and survive, or should she attempt to stop it from actually happening? Apart from that, not a lot else happens in this issue, and like I said, a little bit disappointed. This is a weekend of disappointments. Surprisingly, Swamp Thing, issue 33. And I guess I'm only disappointed with this issue because I know it's only a two-part story. It kind of centres on the Wolf and Lady Weeds, and it's their attempt at bringing down Swamp Thing. They both obviously have their own reasons for taking revenge on cutting them off from the Green, where they were quite happy, very powerful, and were enjoying life, not having been a kind of earthly immortal for thousands and thousands of years. So they've turned up at a time where they don't feel they fit in. They are powerless. So in this issue, it's kind of the Wolf's turn to attempt to bring down Swamp Thing. We find out, we know he's already been doing some kind of devious stuff on the side, but we see the lengths of his kind of evil machinations in bringing down Swamp Thing, which kind of culminates in this demonic deal he makes, which unfortunately, as you can imagine, doesn't pan out the way he wants. And obviously the Wolf fails. Next issue is the Lady Weeds attempt at it. And these kind of two-shot storylines, they just, nothing's going to happen. They're not going to bring down Swamp Thing and become the new Avatar. So the storylines kind of lack any impact. I have been watching a couple of interviews with Charles Soule, his ideas of what's going to come after this. We've already seen the kind of fungus the fungi kind of avatar, and he said there's going to be other ones, like there's a bacteria avatar, there's a machine avatar, and I really don't know what to think about this. It was all well and good when you just had the three. You had the rot, the red, and the green. And, you know, Snyder had created this universe where the three of them were kind of always at odds with each other, trying to overcome and be more powerful than the other. But all of them kind of realizing that, you know, there has to be this balance between the three to make the world, you know, go round. So with Charles still thinking about adding all these different kind of avatars, universes with bacteria and machines, I think he's pushing the envelope maybe a little too far. Morning Glories issue 39. This continues to play with the timelines. We have Casey back on the scene. I always say this, I don't know what to say about Morning Glories. Anyone who is reading this is still reading this, and can possibly kind of explain what's going on. Fair play to you. All I can say is that this is, like I said, it's a Casey-focused storyline, delving back in again to the kind of Casey going back in time, but went too far back in time, disguising herself as a teacher at the school where a younger Casey is to make sure she gets into Morning Glory's academy, and then help out the kind of rebel staff body that there are in there. But who knows who you can trust in Morning Glories? They all seem to have agendas. They're always being incredibly cryptic. And it's just, as always, there's a little bit in the back, a kind of couple of pages where they kind of try and explain and point out things that you might have missed, or how this issue connects into previous issues. And once again, I say I really, really must make the time to go back and read this from the start, pick up on all these beats. I love it. Nick Spencer and Joe Asima have done a great job, and for it to have lasted 39 issues is a feat in itself. Is it pushing itself too far to the kind of lost TV kind of genre, and is it then going to lose its audience because it's not explaining enough and raising far too many questions? I don't know. On to the last three books this week. I have our weekly look at Batman Eternal. This is issue 13. Yes. And as you can see from the cover, this is a James Gordon sort of centric issue, definitely predominantly shown at the beginning, where we have a father and son meeting of minds, so to speak. Jim and James over a prison table, and somehow, I mean, I don't really know much about his son, especially not in this new 52 universe. But he seems to have quite the clout in this universe if he can afford or have the ability to kind of pay off and bribe guards in order to have a private conversation with his father in Blackgate. And this conversation is really James tempting Jim Gordon, his father, to give up on Gotham, trying to provoke his father to escape from Blackgate. He's going to give him the opportunity where there will be a moment, there will be a time when your cage, your prison cell will be open, guards will be looking in the opposite direction, and you can just leave, you can go. Gotham has nothing for you anymore. It's time to admit you're fed up of it. Will Jim take James James offer. James, there's a lot in here. Will he take him up on his offer and leave, or will he stay and take his punishment, whether it's deserved or not? Elsewhere in here, we have Bard along with Vicky Vale concocting a rather convoluted plan to make Forbes kind of undermine his power and therefore undermine Falcone's in a kind of fake bust that is supposedly one of Batman's kind of secret armory hideouts, when it is in fact one of Falcone's. But it is kind of left Forbes in an awkward position where he can't now say, no, you can't lock these criminals away. Red Robin, we get in here a little brief kind of page of him and a little kind of bit about the nanobots, but that's going to take him on to Tokyo. Hidden in his secret hideout is Harper. She's managed to get in there somehow. There is definitely going to be some sort of relationship with him, with Harper and Red Robin, which could make for interesting reading. And finally, Stephanie. Poor Stephanie. No one basically believes her about her father, Cluemaster, because yes, he was one of the lamest villains that were. Unfortunately, Father Dearest is still watching and is threatening the lives of her friends. So basically to kind of entice her, not necessarily out of the woodwork, but to him. A much better issue. None of the kind of funky art that didn't fit the storyline, and the artwork was good. It was what I expect from a Batman Eternal title when I open it, and not something shocking like last time. Although last issues was great artwork, just didn't suit the book. But despite this kind of like toing and froing of the storyline that we kind of got to get used to with Batman Eternal, because there's so many plot threads going in and out of Batman Eternal, it was a great read. It kept me going. Batman Eternal issue 13. Penultimate issue, number 3 of Boom Studios' The Woods. And I'm so glad to hear there are at least a few more of you out there taking a chance with this, because I love this book. It is just a real fun kind of sci-fi horror adventure story. I can't remember what he said now, but if you go back to Wednesday's video, Scott Custom Bromstar gave his kind of analogy of it in kind of film and TV sense, and it was spot on as well. But in this issue, we have the staff taking control of the students, taking back the power, so to speak. But unfortunately, we have kind of some not very nice teachers, and obviously it's the sadistic gym teacher that's looking the most shady of the lot. And they kind of have this state of lockdown. No one is allowed out of the school. You stick to your form rooms. But of course we have our escapees, the band that have run away, trying to battle off all manner of beasties. We have some of the students in our kind of runaway team keeping secrets. They know more about this planet, or at least where they're headed, than they're letting on. Now, I'm not saying that this is the prettiest book to look at. The artwork is fun, it's scrappy, it's bold, it's brash. It's no fine art, let me tell you this now, but it has that rawness and excitement that makes this book so good. Take a chance on an indie book and make it Boom Studios' The Woods. Finally, East of West issue 13. Wow. After the kind of the kind of European summit that we've had for the last couple of issues, which was kind of, in a way, kind of very cold, very clinical, very procedural, despite the explosive ending of it. Hickman goes back to death. And the flip side of the East of West universe, which is so far away from the scientific. This is the mystical, this is the magical side of it. And we kind of drop in with not only death, but his kind of companions, Crow and the other guy. Is he just called Witch? But there is kind of supernatural, mythical madness going on. It's all expertly, as you would expect, envisaged by both Dragotta and Martin on this. We have Death going up against our shooter, very action-packed. Kind of reminded me of the kind of old Marvel Bronze Age days where you kind of two, and I say this in inverted commas, heroes go at it, fight, but then realise they are kind of on each other's side. They are, they will be able to help each other out by the end of it. So it was interesting seeing that kind of relationship between our shooter and Death. Great battle scenes, great kind of magic, mystic eruptions. Just a fantastic in-your-face issue. Really loved it. Had a great time with East of West. How many times do I have to say this? If you drop this very early on, more fool you, because Hickman has created this vast universe and is using all the elements, not just forgetting about one and concentrating solely on another. I never thought I'd be reading a Hickman book so far on in its run. I kind of usually give up with him, but he's done a bang-up job here. Great stuff. And that is it. Thank you for the people who are watching me live at the moment. If you've missed any of it, you'll be able to get the rest of it when it uploads properly. Thank you for watching. Whenever you watch this, if you're new to my channel and you just like what I see, I don't normally do this live, but hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more of my videos. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you thought this was all right as a live event. I might consider doing more. Who knows? I might consider getting other people on, and we'll chat at this kind of time on another Friday, and we'll just talk comics for an hour. It's a suggestion. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Take care, and I will see you soon. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.